What if I told you that 6 simple words could shift the entire energy of any conversation you walk into? Not a magic spell, not manipulation, just 6 words that communicate strength, self-respect, and the kind of quiet confidence that makes people lean in instead of walk away. Most people talk too much, explain too much, try too hard to be liked, and that's exactly why they're ignored. But the ones who understand restraint, who know when to speak and when to let silence do the heavy lifting, those are the people everyone remembers. Machiavelli knew this centuries ago. He understood that real power doesn't announce itself. It exists in the space between words, in the control you have over your own reactions, in the calm that radiates when everyone else is scrambling for attention. So if you've ever felt invisible in a room full of people, if your words seem to fall flat no matter how smart or genuine they are, stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why these 6 words work and how they tap into something deeper than conversation. They tap into human psychology itself. Let's start with something most people get wrong. They think attraction is about being charming, funny, or saying all the right things. But Machiavelli taught us something different. He said the person who controls the room isn't the loudest. It's the one who controls themselves. Think about it. When you meet someone who's constantly seeking approval, explaining themselves, filling every silence with nervous chatter, what do you feel? Probably nothing. Maybe pity, maybe annoyance, but certainly not respect. Now think about the person who speaks only when it matters, who listens more than they talk, who doesn't need your validation to feel whole. That person has gravity. You want to know what they're thinking. You lean forward when they finally do speak. That's the difference. And that's where these 6 words come in. They aren't just a phrase, they're a philosophy, a way of being that communicates you are not desperate, not performing, and definitely not someone to overlook. The first word is this: I, not we. Not everyone says, just I. When you own your perspective without hedging, without softening it for approval, you signal something powerful. You signal that you have a center, that your thoughts come from somewhere real, not borrowed from the crowd. Machiavelli warned against trying to please everyone, because when you do, you please no one. The moment you say, I think, or I believe, without apology, you create a boundary. You stop being a mirror and become a person. And people are drawn to people, not reflections. This doesn't mean being arrogant. It means being honest. It means trusting that your opinion has value, even if it's not popular. Most people are so afraid of rejection that they never let anyone see who they really are. And then they wonder why no one connects with them. Start with I. Own your voice. That's where presence begins. The second word is prefer, not need, not want desperately. Prefer. This word is deceptively simple, but it changes everything. When you say you prefer something, you're communicating choice, not lack. You're saying you have options, standards, a sense of what aligns with you and what doesn't. Machiavelli understood that desperation repels and options attract. The person who needs something will bend, compromise, lose themselves trying to get it. But the person who simply prefers, they can walk away. And that ability to walk away is the most magnetic thing in the world. It says you're not scrambling, you're not chasing, you're selecting. And selection implies value. Think about how different it feels to say, I'd prefer to meet Thursday, versus, I really need to see you, anytime works. One sounds grounded, the other sounds like begging. People respect preference because it shows self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of all attraction. The third word is honesty. And I don't mean brutal honesty or using truth as a weapon. I mean the kind of honesty that's rare because it requires courage. Most people lie constantly, not with malice, but with performance. They say what they think others want to hear. They hide their real opinions, their real feelings, their real selves behind a mask of agreeability. and then they feel lonely even in a crowd. Machiavelli said it's better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both, but what he really meant was this: respect beats approval every time. When you speak honestly, even if it's uncomfortable, people respect you. They might not always like what you say, but they'll trust that you mean it. And trust is the currency of real connection. Honesty also does something else. It filters. It pushes away the people who can't handle the real you and pulls in the ones who can. That's not a loss. That's clarity. And clarity is attractive because most people live in fog. The fourth word is calm. This might be the most underestimated force in human interaction. Machiavelli observed that leaders who panicked lost their kingdoms, while those who remained composed under pressure commanded loyalty. Calm isn't the absence of emotion, it's the mastery of it. It's the ability to feel anger, frustration, excitement, or fear without letting those feelings control your actions or your words. When you stay calm, especially when everyone around you is reactive, you become the anchor. People feel safe around you. They trust your judgment. They want your approval because it seems harder to earn. Calm also communicates that you've seen enough, experienced enough, that you're not easily shaken. It signals depth, maturity, control. And control, quiet control, is one of the most attractive traits a person can have. Think about the last time someone stayed cool when you expected them to explode. Didn't you respect them more? Didn't you feel a little in awe? That's the power of calm. The fifth word is space, and this is where most people lose. They crowd, they cling, they text too much, talk too much, explain too much. They're terrified that if they give someone room, that person will forget about them or move on. But Machiavelli knew that presence without absence has no value. If you're always available, always accommodating, always there, you become furniture. Comfortable maybe, but not compelling. Space creates tension, curiosity, longing. It gives the other person a chance to miss you, to wonder what you're doing, to realize they actually want your attention. It also protects you. When you give yourself space, you stay grounded in your own life, your own goals, your own identity. You don't lose yourself in someone else's world. And that independence, that sense that you have a full life outside of any one person or interaction, makes you infinitely more interesting. Space isn't playing games, it's self-preservation. It's remembering that you are the priority in your own life. The sixth word is respect. Not just for others, but for yourself. Machiavelli's entire philosophy rested on one idea: maintain your dignity at all costs. The moment you compromise your self-respect for approval, you've lost. People can sense when you don't value yourself. They can feel it in your tone, your posture, your willingness to accept less than you deserve. And if you don't respect yourself, why should they? Respect means having boundaries and enforcing them. It means walking away from situations that diminish you. It means not tolerating disrespect, manipulation, or carelessness, even if walking away feels hard. When you carry yourself with respect, others mirror it back. They treat you the way you treat yourself. And if you treat yourself like someone worth knowing, worth listening to, worth being around, others will too. Respect is the final word because it's the foundation for all the others. Without it, the rest fall apart. Now here's the truth. These 6 words, I prefer honesty, calm, space, respect. They're not a script you recite. They're a way of being. They're the result of doing the inner work Machiavelli described. Mastering your reactions, clarifying your values, building a life that doesn't revolve around anyone's approval. When you embody these principles, you don't have to try to attract anyone. You naturally do. Because you've become someone who respects themselves, who communicates clearly, who doesn't need validation to feel whole. And that kind of person is rare. People notice. They remember. They're drawn in without even knowing why. So if this resonated with you, If you're ready to stop chasing and start attracting through presence instead of performance, drop a comment below and tell me which of these 6 words hit you the hardest. And share this video with someone who needs to hear it, because most people are still out here trying to be liked instead of trying to be respected. Let's change that together. Real influence starts with you.